Thank you for joining our Career Services webinar here at Rhodes College. My name is Gil Villanueva, and I serve as the Vice President for Enrollment, Dean of Admission and Financial Aid here at Rhodes College. And certainly, it's really exciting that you all have decided to join us. It is really my pleasure to introduce our main speaker. And later on, you're going to hear also from our superstar student, Lily Broadway. So let me go ahead and introduce you to our speaker today. Sandy George Tracy is the Director of Career Services here at Rhodes College since 1990. So as director, she provides guidance and leadership to the programs and services offered through the offices. Career Services offers a dynamic internship program, career and graduate school fairs, professional development, training for students, and networking events to connect students and employers. Sandy is consistently working to make sure that she and her colleagues create opportunities for you, certainly, and our students here at Rhodes by building and creating relationships with employers, graduate programs, and organizations such as FedEx, the Peace Corps, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and more. Please welcome Sandy George Tracy.
As Gil mentioned, I've served as Director of Career Services since 1990. I came here from Northern Ohio and thought this would be a great little place for a couple of years and absolutely fell in love with the school and all that it stands for and our absolutely amazing students, which is what has kept me here as Director of Career Services. What I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about some of the services that we offer to support you, the students who may be joining our class, and we hope that you'll give us a good, strong look. Because we think that there are so many opportunities and ways that we can support you through career services. And then later, I think, again, it'll be interesting for you to hear from Lily about her experiences through internships and other meaningful activities. If you do have a question, you can certainly drop that in the chat box. We do have admissions staff on hand that will be answering general questions that may not be career services specific. And then later on, we'll have time for questions and answers that will be moderated, and we can certainly talk about that. Before I forget, I also want to tell you, if you do have any questions that may come up after this webinar is over, you can always reach out to me. My email is Tracy, Tracy, at Rhodes.edu. Again, Tracy at Rhodes.edu. We use our last names for our emails. So let me just start by telling you a little bit about what you can expect at Rhodes through Career Services. We are a comprehensive career service, which means that we work with students from the very beginning. You don't have to wait until your junior or senior year like you do at some institutions. We start with working with students from their first year on campus. Some students come to Rhodes knowing exactly what they want to do, and we try to help those students get on track and gain experiences and start networking. Some students come in and have no idea what they want to do, and that is absolutely fine. Students have a lot of latitude in exploring and learning, and our students don't even have to choose a major until the second semester of their sophomore year. Now, of course, some students can choose to do that a little early, but we certainly don't expect that, and we don't push that at all. Some students come in thinking they know what they want to do, but then are exposed to a lot of other things and may change. And of course, we're happy to work with those students as well. So we do have dedicated services for students who are coming in and may not know exactly what they want to do. So we do have a dedicated career counselor, Rochelle, who works primarily with our first and second year students. We offer career courses for credit through career services that you can engage in as early as your first year. So we do offer some dedicated time if students are interested to start exploring career opportunities and start that networking process. We also offer a comprehensive internship program, and we think that internships are so very important. Sometimes it'll help a student confirm this is what I want to do and gain additional experience and start that networking process. And all employers and graduate schools as well are looking for students with experience. I believe that one of the strengths of Rhodes is that we are based right in the heart of Memphis, Tennessee, which is a great laboratory for so many different experiences, as Gil mentioned earlier, from places like FedEx and AutoZone and St. Jude Children's Hospital and the Mayor's Office and the Art Collective. There are so many opportunities for our students, and being right here in Memphis, it's really easy to intertwine classwork with real-world experience. So we do have a comprehensive internship program, which I think is so important to spend just a few minutes talking about. Our academic internship program allows students their junior and senior year to sign up for an internship, and which we have already curated about 150 opportunities every semester. So students in the end of their sophomore year can start applying for internships for their junior year. And they can look at the list of opportunities that we already have and submit an application to Career Services, and then we make the match of recommending them to the employer. So it's a really easy way, even for students who don't have direct contacts. We try to make it as simple as possible and trying to make a really good match process for the student so they can start gaining that experience. It does count for a full class, so it counts for 4 credits for students who do participate in an internship. And it's accompanied by a classroom component where we talk about things such as how to create a LinkedIn, how to write a cover letter, how to appropriately network, how to reach out to our alums or our family members who might serve as mentors to our students. So I think our academic internship program is really, really important. We usually have about 85 students in the fall and about 85 to 100 in the spring semester that will participate in our academic internship program. We also have an international internship program where students typically in the summer months can apply for scholarships up to $10,000 to complete an internship abroad. Our donors have specified specific majors so that the scholarships are really for specific majors in business, economics, art, and international studies. And we're working on expanding that offering to other students. But any student can apply for an internship abroad, and we in Career Services can help students work through that process. Those scholarships are available to certain majors right now, but like I said, we're always expanding that and looking for additional resources to send students abroad. So that's our international internship program. We also offer a program in New York City during the fall semester. So a student can sign up for our New York semester, which we operate along with our study abroad office. Students work between 20 to 35 hours a week in an academic internship in New York City. That counts for most of their credit that semester. And then they're taking 2 other classes, one a history class about the history and immigration into New York City, and one more on the artistic side, looking at theater in Memphis. So when we first initiated this program about 5 years ago, I actually went out with a student and experienced what they were going through. Beautiful residence halls that they stay in while they're in New York City, right in Manhattan. In Brooklyn, not Manhattan. We can walk to Manhattan. And experience their walking tours around the city and then learning about the city that way and going to the theater with the students. So it's a great program as well. We also offer micro internships, and that's where students can, at any year in college, can participate in an internship that might be 4 to 6 weeks in length. And those are paid experiences. So those are all listed on our website as well. We also run one other program that I particularly love, and I think Lily might be able to talk about this as well. It's called our Rhodes Impact Summer Experience, previously called our Summer Service Fellowship Program, which might be on the web. We're changing the name over to Rhodes Impact Summer Experience. And this is where we take a cohort of 15 to 16 students. Rhodes pays them and provides housing on campus, and students are able to engage in the nonprofit community and work 35 hours a week. And 5 hours a week, we all get back together as a cohort and look at social justice topics, specifically learning about Memphis and trying not to focus on just the negatives, but what are the roots of some of these systemic social justice issues, and what can we, in our civic responsibility, do to help address some of those. So those are a few ways that our students have gotten involved in internships. Of course, there are a lot of paid internship experience as well that students can engage in, and we're always working to help connect students with opportunities. I think another area that I feel really excited about is our opportunity to engage our alums. We bring our alums back in a lot of different venues to help mentor and network with our students. And our students have really learned a lot through these relationships. Our alums are very, very much engaged in helping our current students and making sure that they have the resources and opening doors for our students. So we constantly have employers on campus. We have multiple career fairs every year. We also offer a graduate school fair where we bring in graduate schools from across the country for our students who are interested in grad school. You might also be interested to know that about 33 to 35% of our students every year go directly into graduate school. A lot of those are looking at some of the professional areas, such as law school or medical school, or perhaps a master's in accounting or an MBA. Less students going into MBA, those programs usually require a couple of years of experience. But a lot of students, about 33 to 35%, will go directly into graduate school. And a lot of times they will use their faculty to serve as helping identify different graduate programs, writing their letters of support. But career services also helps those students with reading over letters of their application letters, helping out with mock interviews. So as students go in to apply for scholarships or just to even get into graduate school, we'll also go through mock interviews with the students to make sure they feel absolutely 100% prepared before they actually start talking to a prospective graduate school. We like keeping our students in Memphis after they graduate, but our students are actually quite successful and have gone all over the world after they've graduated from coast to coast. And we're very proud about that. I'll also say, even from a parent's perspective, and I'm sure we must have some parents on the call as well. My son graduated from Rhodes in 2019. He was an international studies and Chinese studies major at Rhodes. When he graduated, he moved over to Japan and stayed there for a few years, teaching English in Japan and then eventually becoming a translator for a corporation in Japan. He is now back in the United States, which as a parent I'm very excited about after being gone for 5 years. And he's in graduate school in Washington, D.C. And the alumni network in Washington, D.C. has been just absolutely incredible in helping him acclimate, find internships, find jobs right now is what he's looking at. So again, our alumni network has come in key. I've been talking for a long time, and I know it's probably be more interesting to actually hear from a student who has gone through the process. What I'm going to do is ask Lily Broadway, who is a fabulous, fabulous senior. I'm going to definitely miss having her on campus next year. But I'm going to ask Lily just to share a little bit about some of her experiences, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit more about some of the other ways that you can expect to get involved through career services. So Lily, would you tell a little bit about your background, your major, your home, and then a little bit about your 4 years at Rhodes?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Lily Broadway. I am a senior English major from Paragould, Arkansas. So if you've been watching all the tornadoes happening over the past 4 or 5 days, that's home. So everyone's good. Everyone's fine. It's just, I'm from Northeast Arkansas, a very small town. So honestly, my journey kind of starts even before I came to Rhodes, especially with career services. I was between Rhodes and my in-state public university, like I'm sure a lot of you probably are, thinking about what I was going to have to sacrifice if I came to Rhodes versus like what I would lose if I went to I'm thinking about Fayetteville, Arkansas, like going to Fayetteville. And for me, it really came down to Memphis, the city. I had so much opportunity waiting. I had, my dad was an alum here, which was helpful, but also the 3 Fortune 500 companies, International Paper, AutoZone, and FedEx were all here. St. Jude was here. It just seemed like a really close-knit community to me. So ultimately, I decided on Rhodes, but something that I felt like I kind of initially sacrificed to come to Rhodes. I was a competitive dancer for 15 years, and I really struggled. I feel like my identity was so closely tied to that I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to figure out a way to stay involved with that in some capacity. So I joined a dance club, yada, yada, yada. But my sophomore year comes about, and I'm what's called a peer assistant. So every first year gets put in a PA group with 2 upperclassmen who are kind of the leaders through the semester, and also a faculty or staff member advisor. So as a peer assistant, I was actually placed with Sandy's group. And Sandy and I got to know each other pretty well. And, I had told her my background as a dancer. That was really important to me. And she mentioned to me that this organization called New Ballet Ensemble in School is looking for a Rhodes Fellow, which is basically I would volunteer for New Ballet over the course, for 10 hours a week, and Rhodes would pay me to work with New Ballet. And I was like, I'll give it a shot. I don't really know anything about nonprofit work. I don't really know much about the Memphis nonprofit sphere. And I absolutely fell in love with it. New Ballet is a small but mighty nonprofit that provides dance education to kids regardless of the ability to pay. So I got a lot of experience in nonprofit management, as well as some communications and marketing work. It was kind of my open door to that. And that was all through the sophomore year. I worked from about November to May. And in about February, I decided that I wanted to stay in Memphis and do a summer internship. There was just not a lot for me back at home. There's not a lot of internship opportunity, especially for the English major, because I wasn't super interested in law school. I wasn't super interested in teaching. So I felt a little, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this degree that everyone's telling me has no merit, which is a lie, by the way. And Sandy was like, well, we have this fellowship, this summer fellowship. I think you would be great for it. And she encouraged me to apply and interview. And I ended up, it's the Rhodes Impact Summer Experience now. It was called the Summer Service Fellowship. And I served New Ballet over the course of those 3 months. But of all the things that I did at Rhodes, I was the recruitment chair for my sorority. I studied abroad twice. I've done a lot of things on campus. I can say with my full chest that was the most influential and most rewarding experience that I had at Rhodes, was doing that fellowship. I thought that dance was really the thing that kind of ignited this fire under me. And I learned really quickly that it was honestly the Memphis nonprofit sphere that did it for me. I got to know so many different Memphis nonprofit leaders. I got to connect with Rhodes alums from all over the city who were kind of spearheading these efforts. We got to go to Church Health, which is a medical nonprofit to provide healthcare to underinsured or uninsured Memphians. And we got to go to Just City, which is a criminal reform nonprofit. And we got to go to MIFA, which provides Meals on Wheels. And at almost every single one of these sites, there was an influential Rhodes alum for me to connect with. And it was an incredible experience. I got to learn a lot about the nonprofit sphere. But I finished at New Ballet in August, and I took this semester to kind of focus on my academics, but I just really wanted to re-engage with the Memphis nonprofit sphere. I really, really loved my time with that fellowship. I learned so much my time at New Ballet about marketing and communications that I connected with our academic internship program. And I was like, what kind of program? So I started doing some research, and I was talking with Jessica, who's over the academic internship. And she was like, well, have you looked into Church Health? And I was like, Jessica, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. Church Health does not want me. I'm an English major. They don't want me operating on any page. They don't want me sitting in on those. And she was like, well, that's actually not what they want you for, by the way. They actually have a communications internship open. And so I applied for it. I interviewed for it. I had 2 Rhodes alums in the room when I interviewed for it. And I worked there from January to May of my junior year. And just like New Ballet, I got that really ingrained with the Memphis nonprofit sphere. I got to learn a lot of hard skills like Adobe InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop. I also got to connect with a lot of Memphis leaders. My cubicle is actually right next to the CEO. So I got to see him every day when I went into work. And because it forced me to leave campus too, that really gave me some great insight into Midtown area more, and gave me a lot of really great work experience there, and was a nice pivot because I hadn't worked in medical before, but it gave me kind of rounded out some experience. So while I was working at Church Health, that was an academic internship. So that was academic credit. And about February, I was reached out to by 2 separate AutoZone headquarter recruiters saying, hey, we noticed you on LinkedIn. We think that you would be a great addition to this team in e-commerce. So I went to Sandy and Amy, and I was like, I have no idea. I feel like I'm so in over my head with this. I don't know what this position is. I'm interested in the nonprofits. That's what I want to do. And they really encouraged me to go into the interview with an open mind and tailor my resume, revamp my LinkedIn. And they kind of helped me establish those tools. And I got to the interview and I said, "Hi, Jill," who's the recruiter, like, I really appreciate and admire you reaching out to me, but I'm not comp sci. Like, I'm English. I'm not data analytics. I'm not math. Like, I don't understand why you want me for this search engine optimization role. And she said, "Well, to be frank with you, this hiring manager loves to hire Rhodes English majors specifically. Y'all are critical thinkers. You think on your feet. You are able to take any challenge that you're faced with and absolutely run home with it. And you're able to problem solve, which for this position, it's a lot of auditing. It's a lot of content optimization. It's a lot of writing. So we think you would be a great fit for that." And so I worked for AutoZone headquarters as an English major in e-commerce and search engine optimization for 3 months. And that was an incredible experience. So, hopped from small but mighty nonprofit to like kind of couple steps down from St. Jude, but pretty large medical nonprofit in Memphis, to Fortune 300 company, and ended my time at AutoZone having taken this skill that I had never even heard of under my belt. I learned how to put it on my resume. I learned how to figure out the wording that I wanted to use to kind of market that skill. And turns out I was Sandy's PA again in my senior year. So I got to work with her twice. And, we were just kind of debriefing that internship experience and thinking about, I was super busy my first semester of my senior year. I had all these classes that I was taking. I was really involved in my sorority, but I wanted to work. I wanted to like re-engage. I wanted to take all of these skills, my internal communications with Church Health, my more external communications with New Ballet, the search engine optimization experience. How can I like take all of that into an internship experience that like, will work with my busy schedule? And Sandy helped me make the connection to this woman named Megan Klein, who is a marketing consultant who does the marketing and communications work for several different Memphis nonprofits and small businesses. So for example, I'm working with one nonprofit called LifeDoc, that's a medical nonprofit, and I'm doing a lot of like the graphic design, the donor communications. I'm writing grants. I'm helping write donor emails to go out to donors about matching grants. I got to go, they had this impact gala where I got to meet all kinds of Memphis nonprofit leaders and lots of different people who were making impacts in the Memphis community. And then I'm also working with another nonprofit called Oasis of Hope, which does programming for the North Memphis community, seniors, elementary and high school kids, kind of programming for the workforce, financial literacy. They're like making shirts and selling and doing community relations. So with that, I get to go like film interviews and like turn those interviews into articles that get to go to donors and social media. And I'm also doing a lot of SEO with another company that she works with, doing optimizing and auditing their website and figuring out what's working and what's not. So, and on top of that, it's hybrid. It's 10 hours a week, and I'm able to kind of tailor the time that I can give by the week. So if I can't do like 5 hours on Monday and 5 hours on Friday, I can kind of split that time up the way I need. She gives me a lot of flexibility to kind of take the internship and turn it into what I want. And I cannot stress to you, none of these opportunities would have been possible without career services and the connections I've made there and the connections to Memphis. I have really, really gotten the opportunity to dig my heels into the Memphis community and really figure out what's at the heart of it, what drives me about it, and really create my own opportunities and create my own experiences. And that's just something that you will not get at any other school. Jenny, if I could go back and tell myself when I was sitting in your shoes, I would not have the opportunities that I have gotten and been able to tailor it so specifically to my experience if I had gone anywhere else. So sorry, that was
Lily
a lot,
also just no. And Lily just accepted.
Oh yes, I
I
officially accepted a position at AutoZone headquarters working in merchandising for post-grad. So very exciting stuff.
Yes, congratulations. I didn't want to spoil that because I know we were still kind of on the fence on that. So
yep, officially
Lily had
accepted.
lots of opportunities. Yep, she had lots of opportunities. So I wasn't sure. Didn't want to put you on the spot, Lily.
No. Yeah, I had a few offers on the table, so it was a lot of deliberation, which career services also came in major handy. I had Amy Moen and Sandy on speed dial, helping me make pros and cons list, helping me figure out kind of what my next steps would be and which opportunity was going to be most effective for me to take those next steps. So I'm really excited, and I'm very, very incredibly indebted to the career services. That's the number one piece of advice I give all of my first year students that I kind of help mentor is you need to form a relationship with the women in career services because they are absolute like weapons. They're amazing and they're so good at what they do, and they're so willing and able to tailor experiences. Like genuinely, I never felt like I was just another name on an appointment doc. I always felt like, oh my gosh, Lily, how are you doing? Like, let's walk through. I know you just finished this. Let's talk about this. We're always so willing and wanting to kind of help you figure out what your next steps were going to be, and never felt like they were looking at my resume beforehand. It felt like they always had it, like they always knew who was coming in. They had relationships with everyone who was coming in, which is so special and something you really don't get other places. So
yeah. So Lily will be available for questions as well. But this is exactly the reason, like students like Lily, that keeps me so excited about the work that I get to do in career service. And I honestly feel it's an honor and a pleasure to be part of the community at Rhodes College. I know that there have been some questions, I believe, that may have come in that said, all these experiences sound great. When can we jump in and do it? And usually, as we talked about with, with our academic internship program, that usually happens your junior and senior year because it does count as upper level credit for your major, your area of study. But are there opportunities for younger students? Absolutely. So as Lily said, all first year students are assigned and get to choose actually what first year class they would like to enroll in. So it's called First Year Seminar. And it's a 1-credit course. All first year students are in a class, as Lily said, with usually 2 PAs, peer assistants, and a staff or faculty member. And each class has a specific topic. So ours is the Rhodes Edge, making sure that you know about all the resources that are available to you. And so it does help to get to know folks on campus, faculty, as well as staff, and especially us in career services, because we had a job that came in and they needed to fill it really quickly. So I announced it in my first year seminar, and it was working with the Memphis Grizzlies. And it was not a high level position with the Memphis Grizzlies, but you got to get your foot in the door. And so actually one of our students, we worked on his resume, got it all set. And then he actually got about a 10-hour-a-week job with the Memphis Grizzlies and the Memphis Hustle. He spends more time with the Memphis Hustle, but he gets which is our G League team for the Memphis Grizzlies, the NBA team. But he could not be happier. And a couple of years ago, again, we had a position with Senator Corker, who is one of our senators, and I could not find a junior or a senior who was able to take it. So I had a first year student who said, I think I could do that. So we talked about it. We prepped, we did the interview practice. We made sure his resume looked good. And he was able to secure that internship with Senator Corker as a first semester student, which again is unusual. But if you come in and get to know your faculty and staff really well, when opportunities come open, then you're right at the top of mind. And I'm still in touch with the student who I set up with Senator Corker's office. I was one of his references for grad school. He's finishing up George Washington in Washington, D.C. this year. And I'm just as excited. He keeps in touch with me and lets me know what he's doing. LinkedIn is a wonderful thing. We do encourage all students and train students and support students on LinkedIn. And we have a very big Rhodes alumni community on LinkedIn, which is where we connect students a lot of times to our alums and trustees and actually friends of the college and parents of the college, connecting students with that. I love what I do. I think I have the best job on campus. So I could go on and on and on. I see Gil back online. So I'm guessing we might have some questions, Gil.
Hello, gang. I think you probably have a pretty good sense in terms of why everyone loves Sandy George Tracy. Certainly she's an institution here. And I don't know if you know this, but I mentioned she's been around since 1990. She started when she was 4 years old. She's been with us for over 35 years. And I certainly hope for your sake, when you decide to attend Rhodes, she's going to be here for another 35 years. And then that said, you heard from Lily as well. and what a rock star she is. I'm envious of your internships because back in the Stone Age, we did not have that at my school and all the resources afforded to you. But that said, you all have some wonderful questions here that I want to get to and pose to our speakers today. And then the first one is really interesting. And this, I'm just going to go ahead and read it for everyone's sake. What happens if a student discovers in their sophomore or junior year that the career they want prefers a specific concentration in a major or taking certain courses that Rhodes doesn't offer? For example, a concentration in 2D animation under an art major. Does Rhodes accommodate such career ambitions? What do those accommodations look like? And are new courses and majors and concentrations added as demand increases for them? Now, before I turn it over to our speakers here, I just have to go ahead and mention this. I think this is so important. This is my third year at Rhodes, and I always describe it as a liberal arts plus institution. And I've been doing this for 33 years, serving selective schools around the country. And at least 4 of them are national liberal arts colleges. Rhodes is very unique in that when I say a liberal arts plus, it offers certain majors that you would only find at a larger institution. For instance, computer science, business, right? Health equity, for instance. And Rhodes is always thinking about how we can meet our students' needs in terms of preparing them for the kind of lives professionally or even grad school that they might be thinking about. And this is why we're one of the few national liberal arts colleges that actually also offer data analytics. So pretty exciting stuff, 70 majors and minors and concentrations. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn the question to Sandy and Lily.
Yeah. So there is kind of a specific question in there and also kind of a general question in there as well. I'm going to start on the general side and then maybe go a little bit more on the specific. So another internship program that I did not mention, which I think is so incredibly important, is we have a program called the Rhodes Student Associate Program, which we affectionately call RSAP. And students can apply for that to start their sophomore year. You cannot be a first-year student, but we just in career services, we have 4 RSAs or from the RSAP program. And each one of them is assigned to one of our staff members to work with a very specific project. And we just hired for next year 2 current freshmen. So they will both be sophomores next year. One will be working specifically with our internship program and our career closet. And the other first year student will be working with all of our employers, helping to get our career fairs together. We will have a minimum of 4, if not 5 career fairs next year. And so that person will be working with the career fair. So there are opportunities through and that's the starting pay is higher than just like a work study program on campus. Students can also apply to use their work study money to work in the community. So instead of working on campus, they might be working in our community at one of our nonprofit organizations. So again, a lot of good ways to gain experience starting your first year. But the question about what if a student decides later, finds out a little bit later on in life, or their college life, that maybe their interests have shifted. And I think that's one of the beauties of the liberal arts. We're not just preparing students for one specific thing, but we're preparing students to be able to, as Lily mentioned, be curious and be creative problem solvers and to learn how to look at a problem from a lot of different angles. So one of my RSAPs from several years ago, he was a business major, but then in his senior year, and he was on our basketball team and worked in my office, but during his senior year, he took a class in media studies and he said, oh my gosh, I have messed up. This is what I want to do. So he decided kind of very last semester of his senior year that he really wanted to kind of to shift a bit in his interests. You know, again, I always tell students, you're very young, you have plenty of time, and all of our students, half the jobs that are going to be available 10 years from now are not even invented yet. Our job market is changing so rapidly. That's why I believe so much in the liberal arts degree, because I think our students are much more adaptable and flexible and ready for that challenge. But my student who worked with me, that senior who decided media studies is the way he wanted to go, we were able to match him with an alum to gain some experience. He then went on to graduate school and then started his own film company. So he did great. He moved out to California, moved back to Memphis. He's been all over the place. But he said his business background and his liberal arts training really helped him to kind of switch gears and still be very successful. Now, specifically of a student, it was, I think, kind of interesting about the idea of art and 2D animation. We are working right now with a student from that international internship program who is, we're funding her to go to Tokyo this summer. And she's going to be working in a advertising agency. And her first test is to, or first assignment, I don't want to say test, is to create a mascot for an organization. So they've already liked her work that she was doing here at Rhodes. And they're like, we're going to give you an opportunity to create a mascot for this organization. So she cannot wait. She's finishing her classes strong, but she is so excited to go to Tokyo and kind of take that next step. So that's a specific idea. If a student comes up late, we still say, stay on track, graduate, get as much as you can from all your classes. You get so many opportunities. When my son was graduating in 2019, he said, I'm not ready to graduate. There's still so many excellent classes that I didn't even get a chance to take. He, like Lily, also studied abroad, I think 3 times while he was a student here, once in the summer and twice for a semester-long program. But there's just so many opportunities. And I think as long as a student is engaged, I really feel that we could all work for the FBI because we're out there digging around and finding things. But we are always able to kind of connect students with, I love when someone comes with a new challenge. I'm like, I've never thought about that before. Let me see, who do we know? Kind of the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. But we usually have somebody in our Rhodes alum network that can help. And I don't know if that answered the question. I think the number one thing I would say is it's so important for students to get to know their faculty and staff, and especially in career services. Because the more we know the student, and it's very, very community-based, the more we know the student, the better we can send and help curate opportunities for students. Kind of a long answer.
No, that was excellent. Thank you very much, Sandy. And I'm going to cluster some of the questions we have here that I'm seeing and maybe pose it initially with Lily here, because a number of them, really have to do with internships, specifically paid internships. And one of the big questions that I'm seeing here is, well, Lily, you've had such a great experience. How hard did you have to work to get these experiences? And are these internships, are any of them paid?
Yeah, absolutely. So New Ballet one, yes, was paid because that was a Rhodes Fellowship that I did it through. My church health one was not paid because I got academic credit for it instead. So payment in kind of a different capacity, I guess. My AutoZone one was paid because it wasn't through, it was more of an independent internship. And my one with Megan actually is the most interesting because I started out when I worked with her first semester, it just being paid. And then this past semester, because I wanted to take on more hours and work a little bit more, and my schedule allowed me to do so, I actually applied to get academic credit for it as well. So Rhodes is giving me academic credit for it, and independently, Megan is paying me. So I get the little bit of best of both worlds, and there are definitely internships that Rhodes catalog. I think, Sandy might be able to speak on the development of the paid internship program, but I know more internships, more companies are more willing to pay. And the nonprofits are a little bit less willing to pay just because they need the help, which is super valid. And I'm not going to front with you. I work really hard, but it's also it doesn't feel like hard work when you're doing things that you enjoy. Working with nonprofits is something that is really close to my heart and something I've developed a major passion for, and getting involved in the Memphis community. So, I work hard but I get enough support from career services and from the chair of the English department, and balancing everything and making sure that everything is mutually beneficial. So I don't know if that answered the question, but I think
that's great, Lily. Anything to add, Sandy?
Yeah. So, I don't know if the question was it difficult to get the internship or was it difficult to do the internship? But if the question also might be, how difficult is it to get the internship?
That one.
We have about 150 already curated internships. And I think you all can take a look at them on our website. I think you have access to that. And, but we only, if you remember, I said earlier, we have about 85 students who participate. So we have a lot of internships that actually go unfilled. Now, the percentage of paid versus unpaid, again, when you work at a nonprofit, it is difficult for them to be able to pay you during the academic year. In the summer months, a lot of students can apply for fellowship money, so we can pay the students through Rhodes or through other funds. But sometimes if you're working at a nonprofit, those would likely be unpaid. Probably one of our biggest areas where we send interns is pre-med. So it's really great to be in Memphis because we have places like Methodist Hospital, Church Health, as Lily mentioned earlier, St. Jude, Le Bonheur, which is a wonderful regional children's hospital here in Memphis, and we have students in all those organizations. And then if we have people interested in, we have an optometry school, and we have a lot of vets that participate, and dentists. We have dental interns. Those are usually unpaid in the medical area, but students can find. We have paid opportunities for students as well.
Excellent. So because of some of the questions that I have here, I'm going to continue to fuse some of them together. We have a question from an international student who's really interested in investment banking, maybe finance. And there was another question about, well, how about a business major? What kind of internships, can they look forward to here at Rhodes and perhaps here in Memphis, if not also maybe in the summertime?
Yeah. And Lily may know some friends. I mean, Lily's friends of all. I really think the class of 2025 is really kicking it. They've got some stellar students in this class. Again, the internships, I think students have access to the career services page. If you go to the career services page on the Rhodes website, we're looking at doing a refresh on career services because we are getting so many more questions. So I'm meeting with our vice president of communications next week, and looking at trying to elevate some of that so that students can find it very easily. But we have internships at banks. We have internships at AutoZone, at some of our Fortune 500 companies that we have listed here. There are opportunities to do equity and a little bit on the hedge fund side. We're trying to kind of push up our opportunities in New York City. Because I know there's some interest in that. And we're looking at, we used to offer a trip to take students to New York City. We're hoping to implement that again in the next year or maybe two, to get students to New York to actually talk to some of our alums. Our board of trustees is very interested in that initiative as well. So there are a lot of opportunities for business majors, from marketing, human resource management, finance, accounting, all the areas. And Lily, do you have some friends that are kind of in the business area?
Yeah, I have a few friends who are in the business area. I know a lot of them have done work with AutoZone, or First Horizon Bank has been a big one. And I think kind of not a rule of thumb per se, but something that's really been beneficial to everyone that I know is connecting with the Rhodes Alum Network. Like, I really cannot understate how influential and important, to say the least, some of these people are. Like, I was on a Zoom call with she was like the director of strategic communication for First Horizon Bank for like 30 years. I hopped off a Zoom call with her a few days ago. And she was a Rhodes alum. And so really making those alum connections, especially in business, is really important and really, really helpful. And they're so willing to help and willing to connect with you and give you advice, and also potentially help you with an internship. So I know First Horizon and AutoZone have been two big ones. I have a few friends who have worked for EY who just also got full-time jobs at EY. I've been able to make some connections around the community with like RBG, which is the oldest public accounting firm in Memphis. So there's lots of opportunities beyond medical to get involved. And I'm adding just like, don't let your degree confine you. Like if you're interested in certain things, like if you're interested in medical, but you're a business major, like don't let yourself be limited by just the business, by the big businesses. It might honestly give you more collateral on your resume to have a little bit of a diverse experience of like working with a medical in the business aspect of a medical nonprofit. So
I think students just really have to put themselves out there. For example, this past week on April 1st, we had a big networking breakfast where we had 50 alums that came back to campus to have breakfast with our students and sit in dialogue. And I know that a couple of our alums even posted pictures on LinkedIn, like I met the most amazing students. And both of those were actually in business or in the entrepreneurial world. This coming week on the 10th, we're having another opportunity for students to engage with our alumni board. And we have somebody from Washington, D.C. that's going to be here, someone from New York City, someone from Nashville, and a panelist from Memphis. But there'll be others there in that networking arena. Again, students just have to make themselves available to come and talk. And we're always there to help make sure your resume is ready before you start sending things out, and that your LinkedIn is ready to go, and that you have the right script. And if you need help with, kind of dress for success, we have a career closet to help students make sure that they're feeling like they have the right first impression in talking with these folks. I think really there's a lot of opportunities. It's just students just have to make themselves available.
Great. Okay, well, we have a couple more here before we wrap it up. And there's a question about a psychology major, in terms of, what type of internship a psychology major might have available. So either one of you, Sandy, would you like to begin?
Yeah, I would love to begin. I like to tell everyone that we are a staff of 4 in career services, and all 4 of us have an undergraduate. 3 out of the 4 of us have an undergraduate degree in psychology. My daughter, who also works at the campus, also has an undergraduate in psychology. So I always say psychology is a blessing and a curse. The blessing is there's so much you can do with it. And the curse is there's so much you can do with it. You got to, really think about what it is that you want to do. Internships, again, this is where it really is important that you're an upper class student to participate, because some of them are involved in counseling. If you've not had the appropriate classes and training, then it would not be ethical for us to put students in a counseling or counseling environment. So you do have to have the right courses in order to take on some of these internships. But students have done everything in psychology, from human resources on the business side to more on the clinical side. Of course, students can't, because they're not licensed, go out and actually do one-on-one counseling, but they could work with a place like Girls Inc., where it's working with underprivileged girls and providing, being a role model and talking with them, or working at refugee empowerment program, working with children who have just been relocated to Memphis, Tennessee, and are trying to socially and educationally adapt to this new environment. So there's a lot of one-on-one tutoring and mentorship. So I think there are a lot of opportunities. You have to, in psychology, you have to think about ethically and license if you're eligible to get into some of that nitty-gritty. But our psych majors do amazing things, absolutely amazing things.
I have a question here for Lily as a follow-up. How difficult is it to balance, doing an internship and classes?
No, yeah. I think it depends. I am someone who, full credit, full load at Rhodes is 16 credits, which is 4 classes. So if I take on an internship and I want it for 4 credits, then I'll usually just take 2 to 3, because full credit is 12 to 16 credits. So that's 3 to 4 classes. So what I was able to do is do 2 classes and then a 4 credit internship. And that was technically a full load. So it would just honestly depend on how many hours I was willing to take. And honestly, a lot of especially if you're doing an internship with a nonprofit, they are really just happy to have anyone come in and do the work, so they're very willing to kind of accommodate to your schedule, figure out what's going to work for them and what's going to work for you. So ultimately, it's not hard to balance necessarily, because I feel like it's very attainable and doable. But I think you have to put in the effort to make sure that you're not overcommitting and you're not burning yourself out. Just be conscious of what you're being asked to do and making sure that you are giving yourself the space to do it. So
thank you, Lily. I have a question here for Sandy. I believe you might be the best person. It says, hello, as far as I know, you can take up to 2 study abroad semesters in other countries, parenthetically. Does the NYC internship semester also count as one?
That's a very good question. Yes. So we have, instead of calling it always study abroad, it's called study away. And so, yes, New York City would count as one of the study away programs. Now, that's during the academic year. Of course, you can do multiple. I think, as Lily mentioned, she did 2 in the summer, which are Maymester programs, what we call a Maymester, even though they're not always in May. But they've been called, historically, they've been called Maymesters. We've kept that name. And you can do multiple Maymester programs, but you can be away semester-wise, I believe, 2 times.
That's great. And looks like what's great is as you all are answering the questions, you're also answering other questions, which is great. So I'm sort of just going ahead and I'm going as quickly as I can. There's a question here that about, just basically just feeling overwhelmed sometimes during networking events. And, how do we go about sort of preparing our students not to be nervous, to feel confident when they're meeting with prospective employers for internships or even work? Either one of you or both.
We probably both can answer this. We definitely do. And then I'll ask Lily to talk from a student perspective. But, we definitely do training. I actually even came out to Lily's sorority and did a 15-minute kind of speed networking how-to. And just kind of broke it up by, I want you to say your name and I want you to shake hands. And now I want you to say your name, shake hands. And then we just kept adding. They all were giggling and laughing and have a good time. I'm like, you're networking. And we also teach it in some of the classes. So we teach career services, teaches multiple classes on the internship, the professional development course. I also teach one with our associate provost. Our president taught with me last year on leadership and vocation and career, where we also practice, Lily's actually in that class too, where we practice networking and how to give an elevator speech. We also have scripts on our platform where students can look at those scripts and start to get familiar with it. But there's a lot of training out there, but the first time I think you network, I think people are very nervous. What do you think, Lily?
Yeah, no, I am the poster child for first year me being super, super introverted and not really wanting to put myself out there. I was really intimidated by this large community that I just come into contact with. So it really comes down to practice, honestly, practicing with, mentors, practicing. I practiced a lot. I practiced a lot with Sandy. We've been in multiple different environments together where I've had to give her or give people adjacent my elevator pitch, becoming really familiar with your strengths and your resume, being able to speak to what you feel confident about. It's not just oh, I'm a computer science major, or for me, I'm oh, I'm an English major. I'm a strategic thinker. I'm a communicator. I love to talk. That's a big part of my elevator pitch, is just being able to communicate your strengths to these people, because when you're talking about something that you're good at and you're excited about, it's going to make you more confident. So I think working on those, and also on top of that, a lot of summer internship experiences, to make themselves competitive and attractive, will provide leadership development and professional development. So my time at AutoZone, we had an entire lunch hour where we did elevator pitches, where we literally hopped on the elevator with AutoZone executives and had to deliver them our elevator pitches. So there's so many, and luckily I had done training with Sandy up to that point. And so I was pretty well versed in what the elevator pitch was and what mine was going to be. But Rhodes, connecting with career services, and honestly, just having a strong alum network who won't judge you if you mess up on an elevator pitch every once in a while. Just having confidence in yourself is a really big thing, and just making sure that you feel stable in your identity.
Great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and combine a couple more questions for Sandy. And really, it really has to do about combining certain majors or areas of study, like environmental studies and economics, let's say, in business, or maybe data analytics and maybe computer science. Is this something our students here at Rhodes can do? And what type of support do they get if they're interested in wanting to do the work to accomplish their goals?
Yes. So Rhodes has I think, a pretty liberal idea about students being able to combine different majors together. We call it a bridge major. I always tell students, don't put the word bridge major on your resume because nobody knows when we say bridge major. But you can combine different majors. Some people double major, which means you have you can fulfill all the requirements of one major and you fulfill all the requirements from a second major. So my son was a double major at Rhodes. Some students take two majors and try to combine them into one to make them into one major instead of two majors. It's now called a bridge major or one major. Some students are doing one major and then multiple minors. For some reason at Rhodes, we have a lot of students interested in collecting minors. So we have a lot of students who do minors so that if you can take, a lot of flexibility in your classes. And now we're offering certificates starting next year. We'll be able to offer some certificates for students. So it's not quite the level of a minor, but it means that you have special concentration. So I don't think I'm allowed to announce that yet, but we are very, very close to announcing it. So this new class coming in, the class of 2029, will be able to also look at gaining some certificates while they're at Rhodes.
I know the English department offers a journalism certificate right now because I'm in the process. So.
All right. Well, here's the last question, and I'm going to go ahead and pose it to either of you. If I'm just not, I'm a certain major, but all of a sudden I discover an internship or fellowship that has nothing to do with my major, can I pursue it at Rhodes? What kind of help can I get?
Do you want to go, Lily?
I mean, I can just start with, I think the liberal arts rewards and inspires curiosity. I think that because it's liberal arts, they want you to kind of collect as many experiences as you possibly can. And I think that's very invaluable and honestly very easy to do in Memphis and at Rhodes. So I think that's, yeah.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. We've had history majors who graduate from history and go into finance. We've had English majors who've gone on and done things like merchandising at a large company. So I think I really think there are a lot of opportunities at that liberal arts. You need to, like Lily said, you need to be curious and find out what's out there. We also team up with other entities in the community, like what's called New Memphis. And they also offer professional development training, and they actually pay students $300 if they come to 5 sessions that they offer. And it's all about professional development. So they have these grants to give students just to encourage them to become more professional and engaged. So there's definitely, I think the liberal arts is the way to go for that.
Well, our program is coming to an end. And first and foremost, I want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We greatly appreciate you all. I certainly want to thank Sandy and Lily for taking the time to talk about career services and all the different experiences that our students are able to have here at Rhodes and the support that they get. And I also want to thank our Director of Admission, Megan Starling, who's also been answering questions behind the scenes. So I want to thank her as well. So that said, we really hope that you will want to continue to learn more about Rhodes and certainly how we excel in putting you all in a position to succeed in and out of the classroom, and of course, after graduation. Rhodes works very, very hard to make sure that we meet you where you are so that you will be intellectually ready, graduate school ready, and workforce ready. Now, that said, certainly there'll be other programs that we want you to pursue. We have a webinar coming in this week on healthcare professions, and the following week, a pre-law webinar also. That said, I also believe, and I think my colleagues are here with me, we would love for you all to come see campus if you have not done so. But if you have, come see us again. In fact, we have 2 major preview programs, right, this coming April on the 14th and the 26th. And thanks, Megan, for putting up some information there for all of you. Feel free to go ahead and take a snapshot. But also, don't forget, you can also look at this through the website at rhodes.edu/preview. So with that said, thank you all so much for joining us. And we really hope you will decide to join us here at Rhodes, because I personally feel you guys would look good in red and black. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye now.